very much, ladies and gentlemen. Now we move on to our next panel. Our session 4 for the day is on role of MSMEs in driving economic growth and job creation in India. For this session, I would like to welcome on stage Mr. Sriram Narayanan, Chairman CII Western Region Subcommittee on Skill Development and Managing Director, Andres Hauser India Automation Instrumentation Private Limited. Mr. Sriram Narayanan will be moderating the session, and to join him, I have the pleasure to call upon stage Dr. Nandakumar, Chairman and Managing Director, Chemtrals, Dr. Nirav Modi, Chief Human Capital Officer, Shri Ramkrishna Exports Private Limited, Ms. Kavita Kaushik, Quality Champion, Director Quality and Six Sigma, Cummins India Limited, Mr. Vinod Agrawal, Chairman Arunia Organics Private Limited. Requesting Sriram sir to take ahead the session, please.
Thank you, Pushkar. Thank you, Pushkar. I think we have the most important topic for the day, which is important for the country, for the growth of our country and growth of course, employment. Before we start with the panel discussions, let me take a quick, do a quick introduction of the panelists. We have two doctors on the panel. The first doctor is Dr. Nandakumar, who is a founder and managing director of Chemtrals Group. Let's welcome him with a round of applause. He's a chemical engineer. And we have Dr. Nirav Mandir, who is the Chief Human Capital Officer of Sri Ramakrishna Exports Private Limited. I think the company which does 6 out of every 9 diamonds, about 6 carats, right? That's what I understood from him. And we have Ms. Kavita Kaushik, who is a quality champion, very strong woman in terms of quality, and of course she has her own views on MSME. She comes from Cummins. I have my friend Vinod Agrawal, who is a first generation entrepreneur, a very youthful leader, who was also the immediate past chair of Gujarat, and he runs a company called Arunia Organics Private Limited. To just set the context, I think we have a very eminent, members of the panel. I think 2 people, they all started their career from MSMEs, and we have 2 professionals who work for multinational companies. So it will be very interesting to hear their views on what is the role of MSME. We all heard from, I think today morning, how difficult or how challenging is it to bridge the skill gap. To just kickstart the context, I would like to ask, start with Vinod, since he sits on the extreme left. Vinod, what do you think are the steps MSME should do with regard to, one is technology and the evolving market situation? It'd be good if you can come up with some personal examples so that the audience can correlate to what you say.
Thank you, Sriram. See, when it comes to about MSME, about adopting the technology, you can say now it's need of the hour. They cannot avoid the situation. And MSMEs are the ones who try to go away from technology, adopting technology. It's the mindset of the leader, but it's the time has come when the leader of a MSME has to adopt technology. If he will not adopt technology, he cannot make his organization efficient. He cannot do justice to the growing market. He cannot acquire the information, everything. And if he will not run or if he will not walk with the time, his customer, supplier will definitely move to the other people. So this is very important. But the second problem is the mindset. The most important is how to percolate the mindset. Even an owner is ready to accept the technology. It's very difficult in an MSME that his subordinates, his employees, supervisors are ready to adopt that technology. So that's the biggest challenge right now what MSMEs are facing. Say for example, in my company I want to implement ERP solutions. It took us at least 6 months just to convince our supervisor, floors of managers that boss, this is good for you. We are not going to have any problem because in particularly small companies, the managers and the lower level, they try to find out shortcuts. And when there is a digitization, when everything, reporting comes, everything, these shortcuts are stopped, including the the hanky-panky things, whatever the owner also does, like I'm blunt to say that even to save the tax, income tax and GST, lot of things happens in small companies. But when ERP or this kind of digitization happens, everything becomes transparent. And government with this 5 crore threshold now for the e-way bill and e-invoicing, definitely all the MSMEs has to go on the digital platform. They has to adopt the technology. Otherwise, they cannot survive. They will remain into micro or small level. If they want to cross that 250 crores and become large, they have to adopt the technology.
Thank you. May I like to hear from another doctor?
So very aptly mentioned, Mr. Vinod, and my fellow speakers in the morning also deliberated upon it. When I'm being given this topic, so I was asked that what's your thought in how the MSMEs are going to contribute in the growth of Indian economy and the job creation. So I largely look at it mainly into 3 parameters, because even the minister also spoke about the same in the morning, that the MSMEs are having into a very critical role to reduce the regional or the demographic imbalances between the growth and the job creations, especially between the urban India and the rural Bharat. So there are lots of kind of a disparity as far as the role of MSMEs and the role of the industry within these 2 demography. The reason why I said so is if you go by the data, so there are more than 10.5 million registered MSME across India. Out of those 10.5 million MSMEs, almost 1 billion personnel are getting engaged directly or indirectly and getting the employment within those MSMEs. So when we talk about diversity, equity and inclusion, so you'd be glad to know that out of those 1 billion employment, 20 million women are getting employed directly or indirectly into the MSME segment. So we talk, and the MSMEs are larger contributor to it. And even especially when we talk about the reducing the dependency of India into the foreign counterparts to get it the technology transfer or the respective imports, especially to China. And when we are talking about the Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India campaign, so this MSME's roles would be much crucial into it, and the support which the MSME would get from the larger corporates or the larger industry players or the government would definitely be a really significant value addition to those as far as their presence within India is concerned. That's my opening note into it.
Thank you. May I have your views on this, Kavita, before I add my views?
See, MSMEs are the backbone of India, how India is moving ahead, because they are the ones who are making the OEM successful, and many of them are becoming successful by their own. And in the today's world, where there is no other alternative but to digitization. So I think it's high time that MSMEs need to look into that they need to start, and many of them have started as well, their digitization journey. And when we say by digitization journey is what makes sense to them. What should they digitize? How much should they digitize? And what will bring them back, the overall, as we say, bottom line to their business. Those are the processes how they can look at digitizing. So I think that's one thing in terms of how do we move ahead in terms of digitization. And the second thing is upskilling the workforce. With the changing business requirement, how do we upskill the workforce? I think that's the second thing. And the third and the most important thing is look around what's happening in the world with respect to what are the different policies which are coming in, what are the focus which is happening, whether it's ESG, whether it's climate change, and how are they looking at upgrading themselves. So I think these are the 3-4 things in a nutshell, Sriram, which I see that MSMEs need to start doing. Many of them are already setting great examples. In fact, many of our common supplier base are MSMEs. And most of the time when I visit them, digitization, you've never heard of digitization, many of in the casting suppliers or forging suppliers. But I have seen many of them doing a lot of good work in terms of in-house digitization of their processes. So I think things are changing, but we require much more speed for that.
Thank you, Kavita. Mr. Nandakumar, I think you are a founder, chairman for Chemtrals, and of course, also to some extent, you are a guru in terms of what MSMEs should do. In fact, I remember her conversation. Vinod asked what is latest notification for MSME. So, what's your view on this topic? It's important we hear from you, sir.
Thank you, Sriram. Before I touch upon the subject, I just would like to take people to some critical past things. If you look at industrial revolution, it has taken 200 years. We had oil, coal, and then electricity. And then came the information revolution, which is somewhere around last 80 to 2010, 30 years. IT brand building and all the companies working on. But with recession in 2008, that is subsided, and then came the social or the digital platform, which is now only around 10 years. Within that 10 years, what has changed is something unimaginable. As in the last session, Bobby said is, when analysis is made, is only 14% is focusing on future. So are anyone able to tell 5 years down what skills we need? Impossible to tell, because artificial intelligence and all related, robotic process automation, everything has taken up that. So today, the planners have a difficult task, how to plan. That's why I said from 200 years to 30 years to 10 years, it has changed the life quite, I would say, unimaginable way. So we are not able to tell coming 5 years what skills we need. This is one of the issues which planners have a problem over the last 3-4 years. When it comes to digitization, especially on the small scale, we've been focusing, CII and other industry associations focusing over the last, I would say, 7-8 years on the basic industry 4.0. And I must say that in spite of that focus over the last 6-7 years, it is hardly 7 to 8% of the MSMEs have adopted to industry 4.0. That's a very painful. So we need to focus on that to get MSMEs in industry 4.0. And at the same time, industry 4.0 is only the basic one. We need to look at what is the automation is coming in, whether artificial intelligence, robotics, process automation, or blockchain, cloud computing. These are part of any process for manufacturing. So we need to look at, and that is where the show floor goes up to the board level and getting information. So that's a big challenge to work on that. Now the biggest challenge for MSME is when you look at the definition of MSME encompassing whatever the numbers is there, 95% is micro, owner-driven. First, that owner-driven himself does not know, or rather majority does not know, except the startups. What is digitization? What is it giving? So we need to look at educating, or we need to look at skilling the promoters of that group of micro 25, 75, 95% of that. Then comes around 4.5% the small scale industries. Exactly same way, except for very few. Only medium that changes take place. But they also have challenges in the adoption of the skilling or digitization across the value chain. A lot of industry bodies as well as government focusing across, yet there are challenges which is primarily fund driven. So we have to look at how we can fund MSME on a continuous basis, not only skilling, upskilling on that continuous basis to adopt the technologies which is changing. That is my take, Sriram. Right.
Okay. Now, drawing back on what all you said, I think basically let me give my own take. Anderson Hauser has also, we started from a carpentry workshop in Lorac. Nandakumar ji knows very well because we both compete in the same field. It was just 1 month back when I visited our parent company, and we are completing 70 years. And there was a Saturday which was free, and our founder's son, Mr. Urcenter, said, let's go out for a lunch together. And the first thing he did, Sriram, down this street, I think I would show you where we begin. It was a normal apartment. Of course, he was just sharing. I was a 5-year-old kid when my father used to do this thing. And one thing he said is, this is a success. I'm not boasting because I'm from Anderson Hauser. He said, one thing which was very clear, I think that lady before who spoke also said, dual education. I think Germany is quite famous for dual education. She said one thing my father was very clear is that we will start focusing on getting in apprentices into a company from an early age. And the result is the attrition or retention level of employees is quite high. In fact, some of the people work for 40 or 50 years. And this is exactly what I understood, the mindset of the owner. It all starts with the leader. Now, since you're an owner and you spoke about ERP changes and what you want to do, what do you think are the strategies which should be adopted? One is, okay, on technology, digitization is fine. What do you think is a specific strategy MSME should adopt for skilling and reskilling? Because you have two challenges. One is when they become super skilled, they would look for a job. For example, let's say you're a supplier to Cummins. Probably they would like to get into Cummins because they get a better wage. On the other hand, okay, I was also listening to him where he talked about where people attrition level is 0.78. Probably he'll talk about it later. What are the strategies MSME or MSME owner or a founder should do to retain people after upskilling? What are the strategies they should adopt?
See, as I always say, first of all, the owner should have to be very careful about what he is doing and how to retain the people. Because you see the most of the time of an owner of a MSME, say 70-80% of his time is utilized in operational level, in not required times and like routine work and whatever. So he don't have even time to think about skilling and upskilling his employees. So that is your part two of your question. So first he has to adopt that mindset in himself that see, skilling, upskilling, whatever is there is required first for himself and then for his employee. So अगर वो ही नहीं करेगा तो आगे वो काम percolate करेगा. So most important is it should be other way around. The routine time of a owner should be not more than 30-40%, and more and other times should be utilized for getting more information, getting the more ideas, adopting technology. And second thing is technology should not be pursued as an expense. It should be considered as an investment. It should be on your asset side rather than on your liability side on your balance sheet. So when this kind of mindset will change, automatically he will think about his employee, how to retain it, how to give good salaries and how to get it trained. And because you know, even we are member of CII, we get hundreds of emails every day. But I don't think any company might have given to his HR the emails has been forwarded, even because you know that person, if even I want to send my say operational manager for a skilling or for 2 days, I cannot leave him for 2 days from the factory and send him for attend a seminar or something like this. The owner himself does not leave the factory for 2 days for getting into a seminar. So that's the problem why when a seminar of this kind we cannot find the audience. That's the fact. Because what you get is only employees of large corporates who come to attend the seminars, who want to actually get the knowledge and everything. So these kind of things has to be percolated in MSMEs right from owner till down. And second thing, if you see even the schemes of government for MSMEs, instead of reducing their time of 70-80%, the routine time, they are increasing time because they are increasing the compliance burdens on them. Every day new compliance is coming. So owner तो बेचारा उसी में फंसा रह जाता है. So when he will get the time to think about skilling and upskilling of his employee.
Thank you, Vinod. Quite a powerful thought process. In fact, it slipped into my next question already. I will come to it later. Nandakumarji, what is your view? I think you also grown successfully with now 350 plus people. I know you retain quite a lot of people are working with you for a long time. What is it that differently you do?
Again, I will go back to some few years ago. Few years ago when we, or I would say at my age also, when we started looking for employment, it was primarily for sustainability because opportunities were less. Even if my boss is firing me, I will continue to stick. I am sure a lot of people join and retire from that company. That was maybe I would say around 50, 60 years ago. Then it came standard of living, because what you need for your sustainability, your father has already done, accommodation or whatever required to be your education. But the second phase came, your standard of living is driving you to continue the work. And in that, you will try to learn, adjust. When it came to further, it came from standard of living to quality of life, quality of the society, quality of work, quality of the organization. So today we need to look at, we need to develop the quality of the organization, the place to work, the enjoyment to work. Unless that we create in our organization, we cannot retain our human resources. That's my personal belief. We need to create an environment for them to feel. And we should not think that they are either the employees or a workman. They are part of the owner. Each one should be considered as an entrepreneur. And I personally believe that opportunity is available even in a small scale, and we can retain that. It is not, I agree, salary is the most important thing. But along with that, the environment in which we allow the people to live, allow the people to grow, that retains, that helps us to retain our workforce. And personally, I believe I followed that even today. That's my philosophy.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Nandakumar. You answered very well. I know success of your organization is because the people skill sets you have. Now, coming over to you, Kavita. Now you are a quality champion. I think you do a supply chain assessment. During the assessment process, do you look at the factors, soft factors, which Mr. Nandakumar spoke about? That's one. And second thing is, let's say there is some supply chain vendor who is very critical and who doesn't follow kind of ethical practices with people. How does Cummins handle that?
I think a very, very important question. Let me first answer your second question. For Cummins, value system is a must. Okay, so we do not do any business with any supplier who doesn't hold good on values. And when we talk on values, it is to start with child labor, it is to start with ethical practices, and it has to also do with compliances. So I think these three are the must. Okay, so without which that, however good that supplier would be in the technology front would not be a supplier to Cummins. Okay, so I think that's number one. And the number two thing when I see in terms of upskilling what an MSMEs need to do, and as Vinod and Nandakumar ji was saying, more and more of the MSME owners should move away from day-to-day work. Okay, they should spend time on what is their short and long-term plans. Okay, based on that plans, I think very, very important thing is start thinking about what technology or what digitization they need to do. And the second thing is how they should upskill their people. Okay, and upskilling doesn't need to be very, very expensive, right? Going to B schools or going to IITs or anything. Upskilling can also start with very small kind of technological education which can be given to the workforce. So I think that's the number one thing. And the second thing I have actually experienced in many of the MSME suppliers, people are staying for 20 years, 25 years, even 30 years or more than that. And I think the major thing what they stay back is the kind of motivation which they get, the recognition which they get for that work which they are doing. I think that's a must in terms of retention of, because competitive pay is one and that is basic. Okay, but apart from competitive pay, I think the major thing is the motivation, the morale, how we can, how most of the MSME owners can really spend time with their people. I think that's the must.
Thank you, Kavita. Over to you. I think I heard a bit about your organization practice. Probably you can share what is it that you have done right in spite of handling 6,000 plus people with, I think, not so high qualifications, and how do you manage to retain their motivation?
So my fellow speaker also spoke on that. The main reason why we have been able to maintain the attrition rate of 0.75% across the organization out of 6,000 employees, having a revenue of almost $2 billion in last March. The main reason, because the fundamentals are still intact. The promoters of the company, because it's a private limited company, the promoters of the company have still not forgotten that they started this company as MSME only. And that fundamental is still there intact in the culture of the company. What we say, that we follow the quadruple bottom line approach at the workplace. When I'm saying quadruple bottom line, it's like a 4P. First P is the people. Until unless, whether it's MSME or a large corporate, you are not agents, you are not flexible towards your people, you are not caring enough for your people at the workplace, you won't be able to sustain in a longer run. The second P which we practice is the profit. Because even if you are having the intention to serve to your employees and to respective stakeholders, if the company is not earning the profit, you won't be able to do it despite of having the intent. The third P which we talked is the planet. That after people and profit, if you are not concerned about the planet, and I think the entire world, or especially the corporates, even the MSMEs are talking about the ESG, and I think we were having a word with Kavita for the BSR core, which is applicable and mandatory for the large 500 corporates in India. So in spite of it's not applicable to us, we also do a sustainability reporting and submits a report proactively to the respective body. And the fourth P, which is quite applicable for any MSME or even a large corporate, is the purpose. And I think Mr. Agrawal also talked about that. What is that purpose with which you are running your organization? So I think that is, in a nutshell, the practice could be to have the larger impact on the society. And when we talked about MSME on a specific terms, I think it is very crucial for them, because MSMEs, I totally in line and in sync that they are the largest contributor to the Indian economy. Because if you go by the math, if you go by the GDP or even the contribution of the employment within the urban India and the rural Bharat, it's almost 50%. So 50% MSMEs are there in rural area, and almost 50% MSMEs are existing in the urban area. So the contribution is equal. But the challenge with which the MSMEs are working, and Kavita rightly mentioned about the upskilling part. And I think when promoters or the founders of the MSME would understand that investment in the technology, investment in their human resources or other human capital is not a cost. It is the long-term investment, and for which they will be definitely enjoying the fruits in a longer run. I think that mindset needs to get changed, and nobody could cap the growth of the MSME in a longer period of time if they agile with that mindset.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Vinod, over to you.
I want to add something, a small practice what we do in our company. Say we want to take a part in an exhibition in Germany. So normally the marketing 2 guys will go and company will pay for them. But now what we have done a practice, if a R&D guy or a quality control guy or as a production guy want to go, he has to pay his money first. But he gathers some information, he find out something new and implement in the company, and it is beneficial company reimburse all his expenses and everything. So last 3-4 years we are doing practice, and really it is fruitful, and it also helps the employee also to retain, as well as he enjoys the paid this one also.
That's something which is doable. And taking on from what he said, both of you said, for example, in Endress and also, I think our founders are very clear. In fact, they wanted to start the dual education system in India. And the only review which was done by the founder, I think Mr. Endress, was review of how the dual education system is working. And basically, their thought process is very clear. Okay, now you have done dual education system for the workman on the shop floor. What are you going to now do for the service engineer? Because they know that in the next 10 years, it's going to be very difficult to get skilled people from the market. And when you invest now, I think that's a good mindset. Now coming to the challenges, of course, we have heard enough. We are in a decade, I think, where India is now the shining jewel in the economy. And we have a lot of positive advantages as Indian MSMEs. So I would like to hear from each one of you, what do you think is the advantage the Indian MSMEs have? I think we have challenges. Of course, we also have chances for improvement. Over to you, Mr. Nandakumar. What do you think opportunities we have?
Go back to the population. Over 1.4 billion people nearly 65% is at the age of 30, 35 looking for either employment or to become entrepreneurship. So I would say the biggest opportunity is the demographic dividends which India has. And second one is, I would say English speaking, the language, English speaking education. That helps quite a lot. Third one, whatever development, R&D or whatever we do, India is the country where IPR is most respected. So any other technology which come to India or anybody has to bring in India, they can certainly depend on Indians for the safety and security of their technologies. So these three things are very, very great. Then of course, the 65% of the 1.4 billion people educated, committed to work, and contribute to the society. That is a great opportunity for India, in my opinion. And these are the one which creates the MSMEs. And when I talk to various forums also, because today across the industry you can hear the word ESG, environment, societal, and governance, and everybody feels that there is nothing much for the MSMEs to contribute. So I will tell the MSMEs who can contribute the low-hanging fruit without much involvement of anything, but with very little of. Two areas you can contribute. One is water positive. Becoming a water positive by water harvesting. India across, as a continent, has a lot of rain. Can we not adopt water harvesting? So we can become water positive in our areas. And second one is, beyond the metropolis, small scale industries are in the, at least in open areas. Try to plant some trees. If you are able to plant 10 trees, that will help you at least 70 kilogram of carbon dioxide per annum saved from the atmosphere. Because it is considered that a well-matured tree absorbs around 7 kgs of carbon dioxide per annum. So if these things are brought into our MSMEs, and I personally believe that MSMEs can really contribute to the, not only to India, but also to global supply chain, because they will become one of the most respected entity in the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you. I think wonderful thought. Would like to add something, Vinod?
Yeah, what he said about the demographic dividend. Second, what most important, Indian MSMEs are like, you can say most of them are family-owned businesses. And the value system of the family, like SRK Group, you can see how the entire family gets together and do the business, and the legacy which continues to the generations is also important for the MSME to grow and to continue. And then like children comes up, and then because the new whatever they are coming, most of the people are sending them to good B schools and getting required skills and upskills and whatever. So the new flavor, new technologies, everything will come once the father gives the charge to the son or daughter or whatever. So I think the MSMEs will progress with time in India for the next 5 years, 10 years. We can see a lot of corporates coming out from these MSMEs. That is how the Ambanis and Adanis and everybody has evolved from a MSME to a corporate conglomerate. And second thing, what we see happening in China is a boon to India, definitely. So most of the work which has been like the Europeans or Americans, whatever the geopolitical problem happening, it's a chance and it's opportunity for Indian MSMEs to grab immediately. And the most important, the quality aspect. If we are going to adopt the proper quality measures, then definitely the market is with us.
Thank you, Vinod. The quick round of views from
Just to
both
add
of you.
what my fellow speakers have added, like as far as the chance, when Mr. Agrawal talk about that MSME should leverage upon the chance of whatever happening across the world due to this geopolitical scenario. I think the apt example is the COVID times. When we talked about the making and manufacturing of the PPEs, it was not being manufactured in India. And though the time came and within the 3 months or the span of 6 months, we become the second largest PPE manufacturer in the world. It happened only because of the contribution of the MSMEs, because they took that opportunity to contribute to the noble cause. And there are many examples like this where MSMEs could stand by with respect to the any need within the ecosystem, or could share their piece in the larger ecosystem. And on to touch upon the ESG part, I think what I pursue on a personal note is they are the largest contributors to the good thought for this entire ESG ecosystem. The reason why I said so is, if you are generating the employment and job creation in the rural areas, then the burden to the urban areas would be less as far as migration is concerned. It's not like no one, the population should not migrate to an urban area. But at one point of time, we are talking about climate change and the climate action, and the burden on the cities like Mumbai, Delhi, on all the 4 metro cities, if you talk about India, is creating and enhancing day by day. So over a period of time, it would be abundant to have more population in the global or the urban cities. And that's how, if we create that larger ecosystem into the rural area, so we could also cap the migration and lower the burden on the, especially the metro cities. And that's how they are also contributing their bit into the ESG and sustainability, if we talk about.
Thank you. I think, Kavita, you want to add something?
So maybe just a couple of thoughts here. Everyone knows Indians have a very innovative mindset. Okay, we keep on questioning the status quo, and that's how we get that jugaad kind of a mentality, wherein we keep on improving and we keep on looking at what can be done maybe with a lower cost and what better ideas can come in. So I think this is a space where even many of the MSMEs are there today, and they are very, very innovative. In fact, I have seen examples where many of the MSMEs are better placed than many of the OEMs as well in terms of innovative mindset, in terms of digitization, and they bring out very, very great examples out. And I think this needs to improve more, and MSMEs can really get more and more platforms where they can bring in this kind of an innovative mindset. I think that's number one. See, because just giving you one example, I visited a couple of the suppliers just last week, and there's the biggest question which is they are not able to retain the DMEs or the diploma. So what this supplier came up, they started training the BAs, okay, to handle machines, to do machining. So this kind of an innovative mindset, okay, is very, very required, and I think most of the people are thinking in those kind of alternatives as well.
Thank you, Kavita. I think all of you have said a lot of positive things. Now, coming to the last part of our discussion, before I throw the questions open to the audience, what do you think CII or industry should do to support MSMEs? That's the first part. Second part is, what are the 2 things government should do in order that MSMEs grow and generate more and more employment?
First, I will come to the government part. As I said earlier also, when we talk about ease of doing business, instead of this, we are increasing the compliance burdens. So that has to be reduced, because whether it is a 1 crore company or a 1,000 crore company, the filings of corporate governance and whatever forms and everything is the same. So that procedural requirements has to be reduced drastically when it comes to MSME. And when we talk about CII or any other association, because there are a lot of ITIs and there are a lot of government, local, state government schemes for the skilling and workforce, and so it's very important we disseminate this information to MSMEs, because a lot of information, as I say, most of the owners don't read, or they don't even check the website and whatever, so they are not aware of this. So it is, as a CII or any other local association, it's our job to go back to the MSMEs and explain them, these are the schemes available for you which you can adopt, and these are the way how you can send your employees to the nearest ITI or whether to get required skill and everything.
Thank you, Vinod. Mr. Nandakumar.
I would say, first I will take up CII role. They are the bridge between the industry and the government. All the policies government brings up, a lot of interactive discussions take place. And that's all between back and forth brought by industry association like CII, regularly, continuously creating value. And I must say that I've been associated with CII, right from 1985 onwards, nearly 40 years. It's a wonderful organization, plus I'm associated with other industry association also. So they do quite a lot of work for creating value. And it's really the bridge for MSMEs spread across the country. Not only for MSME, even for large industries, government, frequency, also with international. So I would say they create much higher value, much bring up to the government policy makers what needs to be done, what are the priorities, and what effects are there on a continuous basis. All these industry associations has quite a lot of research fellows working on various aspects, and they give out informations to the government. I would say encourage government to get policies changed into that. Government also is highly receptive. They recognize the growth of India, it depends on MSME, and the MSMEs only can contribute there. So they are really, I agree, there are issues which can be further deliberated and brought up. In a country like India, which is such a big population-wise and geographical area, there are issues which, but I must say that industry association does quite a good work in this respect, and government also listens to all these industry associations considerably and bring up very up-to-date information. Thank you. That's my take.
Thank you. Any quick word from both of you on this topic?
So I think just maybe 2-3 thoughts from my side. First of all, when I look at CII, like CII state today for Maharashtra, we have almost like 1,200 plus members. Okay, and that has both OEMs as well as MSMEs, and everyone is a part of that. So when I really look at that, I think CII can really work with the OEMs to really sponsor MSMEs on improving their skills. Okay, so I think because there's a lot of bandwidth which is there in the OEMs where they can really work out and use that for upskilling many of their MSMEs. Many of the OEMs have all these plans, but it should be done more. And I think CII can take active part in that. So that's one. Second thing, what I feel is CII can really help to set up regional skill development centers. So that's the second thing. So that people can have, most of the MSMEs can really take skilled people from these centers. That's the second thing which I really feel what CII can do. And I think third thing is CII already has a big stage for bringing out innovations. What are the various innovations going on in the MSMEs, and CII can give them a big dais to really share that. It can happen much more. So I think these are a couple of things which I feel how CII can contribute.
Thank you.
Just a quick thoughts apart from what my fellow panelists have mentioned about. I think they. From the CII side, what could be required, I think 2016 CII drew down a survey asking the pros and cons of the government policies, especially by concerning the MSME sector only. So if this kind of survey could also be repeated in the recent, to assess the actual pulse of the MSMEs, how they are thinking about the government policies and what exactly they are anticipating from the government as far as the support is concerned. The second thing which, the biggest challenge what I perceive for the MSME is the, not the unemployment part, and that's the challenge what they foresee is the low on wages. So if this, any kind of a proposition could be made where if the person is getting employed in the MSME sector, they would be given a bit of a support from the government as a subsidy or an incentive or under the any name as part of the CTC, because if you see the average of the minimum wage across all these states in India, it's not above 12,000 rupees. With the cost and the inflation coming in place, one would imagine that how a person could be having a bare minimum livelihood with the amount of 12,000 rupees per month. So if that kind of a mechanism could co-create in support with the industry body and the MSME, of course with the support of the government. So this would be a great support to the MSME, especially it would also reduce the burden of the entrepreneurs who started their bit in their respective sector. So this kind of a intervention could be created.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I think now I throw this thing, question and answer session to the audience. Or, yes, sir. You can give your comment or feedback. Or a question to one of the panelists. Yes, sir. Over to you. Can you give him the mic?
Hello. Good evening. I represent one small MSME. My question is to Nirav. Sorry, I will get up. You talked about 3P and 4th P, right? It is really good. 4th P was really something good. Unless 4th P is there, one SMME will not start a business. So purpose is must. And we are into the business because we have a purpose. Now you talked about 3P, profit, people, and planet. If we convert it into ISO terms, profit means quality, ISO 9001. Environment or planet means environment, ISO 14001. And people means health and safety, which is ISO 45001. So that means when you talk about a sustainability, business sustainability, the bottom of the pyramid is 3 Ps, profit, people, and planet. My question is, now MSMEs cannot go for ISO certification because it will be an expensive affairs. So that is why Government of India with the help of Ministry of MSMEs have started one scheme which is called Z, zero defect and zero effect. Zero defect is quality, zero effect is zero effect on planet, and also zero effect on the human beings or maybe living beings. Now when we have not, if you see, very few organizations are going for Z certification, though it is free. Government of India is giving it free. No money is required. Now there, what role CII should play? Because see, MSME, you have to convince the MSME to go for Z certification. Then only you can think about the other, what you are talking about, right? Isn't it? If it is so, why these MSMEs are not going for Z certification? That is a question. It is boggling in my mind, and I do not know who will give me the right answer. So I am throwing it to you, Nirav.
I may not be a right person because I think CI would be a right person to answer on that. But if I share my thoughts over it, you talked about all 3 Ps, and the reason why I said all 3 Ps and the fourth one, because we are certified with all 3 standards which you mentioned, 9001, 45001, and the environment, which is 40001. And also you talked about the purpose part, which is the business continuity, which is ISO 55000. So that is a part. But when you talked about the Z scheme, and it's really nice scheme laid out by the government to support the MSMEs, that how they would be having more focus on the quality of the respective products, and that's really nice. But what I feel is the awareness towards the MSME sector, they do have a speculation or kind of a sense of insecurity that if I would opt or apply for that particular scheme, the government would start intervening into my business. So that sense of fear to working with the government might be there, or even the other aspect could be the level of awareness which might not be there at the entrepreneurs level, that this type of schemes are available, this type of the proactive approaches are available by the government. So might be 2 reasons why it's not being laid out in a apt manner, otherwise it's really a nice initiative.
So that is my expectation, that CIA should take initiative so to popularize Z.
Can I
Yes, sir.
add on this? As in the starting only I say it's all on the mindset of the entrepreneur. Because see, if you see, we are into chemical industry. When the REACH regulation came from Europe, or the GOTS or Blue Sign and blah, 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 when the Europeans stop buying unless until we have this certification, everybody rush to get this. So something, MSME, once they will be forced to do something, when the effect, jab जेब पे ऊपर effect आएगा ना, तो everybody will run to get. So now it's a voluntary, you can say, but once it will make something mandatory by the OEMs or by the big companies or their purchasers, then everybody will run, and I'm sure in 1 month everybody will get the certificate.
Okay, I think just I would like to say what CI does. In fact, we have a lot of competitions which recognizes best practices in water conservation, best practices in energy. I think a lot of competition for quality circle. All these competitions are all meant for MSMEs to participate. But I tend to agree with him. Generally, we have a culture that we tend to run behind something is forced. Like vaccination, we said, okay, if you have to fly out, you need to have the booster dose. then only people go for. But I think there is something which I think was very interesting to listen from the previous panel. The lady said that we should recognize that this is an investment we are doing. I think once this mindset change comes, I think the rest of the things follows. We have time for one more question. Somebody wants to ask? Yes, sir. Over to you.
Yeah, my question is, in terms of the kind of achievements that the MSME sector has made so far and the contribution towards the overall Indian economy is concerned, can't we not look at how can this be cascaded back into the respective education sector, be it in terms of, say, case studies, benchmarks, best practices, white papers, and so many things which are typically followed in the corporate world, but then that becomes a very valid case point across universities, across educational institutions in terms of what is it that MSMEs have done to contribute towards the Indian economy, in a way that in the near future, when we do campus recruitments, we would also like to see an equal role played by the MSME sector, competing with the corporate world as well, competing with the MNCs as well. But in order for MSMEs to get to that stage, I just wanted to know what your thoughts on this.
I think what you said is a very wonderful thing. I think this is which is very true. And what can be done, my thought process is we encourage something in CII called as CEO rare share, where the CEOs, we don't restrict. CEO doesn't mean it's an MNC company. It can be a person from MSME or something. My suggestion would be that the institute, to start with, can start inviting the MSMEs. That's one. And second thing, which is also very important, is let's say today 50% of the economy is contributed to industry. We should ensure at least 50% of the internship happens in MSME. So people learn when they visit a company rather than a founder talking about it. They learn what not to do and what to do also. Both things will be visible. So this is my thought process. And second thing is, frankly, I think my first job was in an MSME. I think where I got paid, I remember $1,200. It was a gear cutting. I learned more in that factory. So still I remember after 33 years. So I think the learnings you have with the MSME is something which any normal engineer or person, there is more learnings. So this I think should be encouraged both by the college, and of course, the industry also should take steps. This is my thought process. Unless you want to add something. Yeah, please.
In fact, CII does quite a lot of interaction with industry as well as institute. There are nearly 120 subcommittees across India working for CII, and each state, each zone has industry institute partnerships. And most of what you said is already addressed at various levels, and it is also brought down to both in institute level and industry level. But of course, there are always ways and means to improve. There is no doubt on that, because India is a vast country and that vast opportunity is there. But it's a process which is already going on for many, many years, and it continues there. There is no doubt on that. It is never looked upon that it is not giving any revenue to the CII. No, but quite a lot. It is not only all industry associations do quite a lot of work on the, especially on the training. They do industry institute. Of course, there were some problem in the, I would say around 15 years ago, industry had, because there was a concept known as Q1, Q2, Q3. Industry has to perform every Q1, Q2, Q3. As a result, there was a drawback of industry not deputing their experts to institutes. In order to overcome that, even government, in consultation with industry associations, brought up a scheme known as NKFH, National Knowledge Functional Hub. It is nothing but industry institute partnership and deputing educational experts to industries to get experience what is required for today and what is required for tomorrow and implement. It is still ongoing process. And they have collaborated, to the best of my knowledge, a London School of Economics on this program. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have, time is up, that's what it shows. But this gentleman has been very active, asking every panel a question. So let him ask a question. And there is also one lady who has lifted hand. I'll give a chance to you also, madam. Yeah.
Yeah. I am actually social worker and a lot of activities. So I was part of the Tycoon event. So one of the MSME association from the Saurashtra Morbi district, they told me that I am coming here first time in Mumbai. I see that I can solve my industry problem. We have 45,000 crore of turnover of our MSME. There you have, sir, they have many thousand of MSME. What is the challenge, like India moving on professional approach of taxation? I see there is a gap of their professional approach. They are looking for financial assistance, how we can get a bill discounting so we can increase the, so I asked about question, what about their workforce? We are hiring only contract-based work because we don't know where we got work. We cannot regularize our work people actually. If we are getting a proper financing, we understand that, okay, sometimes we got to work, but we don't have finance, so we cannot have a full-time employee actually. So connecting this workforce with the MSME actually, it's require a lot of things connected if you look after others. So my CII, how we can corporate can give their expertise, to this MSME through their association actually, because sometimes corporate is not part of that industry. Example, they are the ceramic industry. It's very less corporate are into that industry. Other things like, we want to make the MSME globally actually. So what my experience when I got a chance to be part of president in 2018, sir, their MSME want to partnership with Indian MSME because here we have manufacturing, they want to distribution in the Europe industry, So there is we require MSME representation from CII whenever external for minister or international delegation, like our prime minister go to US. So as a 2016, when US will hold the presidency of G20, make sure something we have better presentation CII give to the, so MSME present also go to, globally actually also. So you can share ideas to the government or also how we can incorporate professional approach and the system to give the MSME process.
Thank you. I think I would like to give a very, very short answer to your question. CII membership, 75 to 80% is MSMEs. And this means 60 to 70% of all the committees, MSMEs are already present. They have a huge voice. And it's not a big boys club. It's basically an organization which has a lot of MSMEs being members. So that's for information. Your point well taken. Vinod, you want to add something to it? Yeah, please.
No, you said that CII don't take MSMEs to the delegation, etc. I can say last month only I was part of extra ministers delegation to 4 countries to the Caribbean islands. So it's not like this. And you are from Gujarat, so every year, every 2 years when we take the Vibrant Gujarat delegations to all the countries, 80-90% are MSMEs. So it's not this bias about something in CII. It's open platform for all kind of industries.
Thank you.
So one more, I would say, CII has an ASCON, Association of Councils. Around 1 lakh and odd local associations are members are present in that. So very well effectively coordinated. And as Mr. Vinod said, it is a continuous process of taking industries, MSMEs across the globe. It is, I would say, at least for the last 30 years I have seen it's a regular program. Continuing with that.
Thank you. Lady, you had some question, last question.
Hi, this is Sneha Vasaria. Enviro Solutions. We are into waste management solutions and we set up technologies for the government, be it plastic waste, be it agro waste, biomedical waste. So basically technology setup is a forte. I would congratulate Mr. Sorry, I missed Nandakumarji, Dr. K. Nandakumarji. I appreciate the idea of planting trees, because the kind of environment we are living in. So it's becoming day by day very difficult because respiratory problems, lung diseases have become very common, and cancer, which used to be like, something which was one of the rare diseases, has become again common. Just because we don't have fresh air, and the kind of landfills we have across Bombay and all across India, it is a trend that even the youngsters are dying with such terrifying diseases. So it's just a food for thought. I don't have any questions for anybody, but just a food for thought that today is my birthday, and I planted, the first thing I did is I planted 2 trees, the mango saplings, which we eating, because of the mango season, I have a habit of collecting the seeds, and I plant it by myself, get the saplings ready for the coming generations and a better environment and a better place to, for our today present generation and future generation ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. I think wish you a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And we have now come to end of a panel discussion. I think thank you. I would like to thank my fellow panelists. One thing is very coming out very clear. MSMEs are definitely going to play a very, very big role in India's economy. And we have a lot of positive vibrations which are coming in. Provided we do the things right. We should take care of planet, or we take care of the environment, and we take care of people. And there is, of course, a purpose that India should become a nation with good, not only with good economy, but with sound value systems. So I would just summarize this. I thank all of you for contributing. I was thinking how we are going to finish 1 hour time, but I think we overshot the time by 5 minutes. So thank you to my fellow panelists. They all deserve a warm round of applause.
Thank you very much, Sriram sir. And now may I request Mr. Bobby Kuriakose to please come on stage and felicitate our esteemed moderator, our esteemed panelists and moderators. So, Ms. Kavita Kaushik, Quality Champion, Director Quality and Six Sigma Cummins India Limited. Dr. K. Nandakumar, Chairman and Managing Director, Chemtrals. Mr. Vinod Agrawal, Chairman, Arunia Organics Private Limited. Dr. Neerav Mandir, Chief Human Capital Officer, Sriram Krishna Exports Private Limited. Mr. Sriram Narayanan, Chairman, CII Western Region Subcommittee on Skill Development and Managing Director, Endress Hauser, India Automation. May I now request Mr. Siddharth Chaturvedi, Co-Chairman of CII Western Region Subcommittee on Skill Development and Director, ISEC Group, to please sum up the session.
Thank you, and good evening once again, everyone. And we've come to the end of a very, very fruitful and engaging discussion today. We've heard some fascinating points of view from our government as well as industry speakers. Some of the key aspects which we have heard as reminders today is skilling, which has to be demand-led. Skilling investment as a core investment from all the industry and not as a choice. We have also had the privilege of getting a peek into the best practices of skilling followed by various industry partners. And may I also say that skilling, being the key to unlock the potential of the country. I would like to extend our thanks to Shri Mangal Prabhat Loda, Honorable Minister Skill, Employment, Entrepreneurship, Innovation, Tourism and Women and Child Development, Government of Maharashtra, for being here with us. I would definitely like to say I was really amazed to hear his frank conversation and points of view. We would like to also thank Dr. Ramaswamy N, IAS Commissioner, Commissionerate of Skill, Employment, Entrepreneurship and Innovation, Government of Maharashtra, for taking time off from his busy schedule. Would also like to thank Ms. Rekha Menon, Chairperson and Senior MD, Accenture. We would also like to extend our gratitude to Dr. Praveer Sinha, Chairman, CII Western Region and CEO and MD, Tata Power, for his insightful address. A very special thanks to our committee's chairman, Mr. Sriram Narayanan, CII Western Region Subcommittee on Skills and Managing Director, Endress Hauser Automation, for setting the tone for today's conference and really moderating the last session so fruitfully. Would also like to thank Mr. Hakimuddin Ali, Vice Chairman, CII Maharashtra State Council and Executive Director, Dalmia Cements, I would also like to thank all our esteemed speakers and panelists. And finally, our partners without whose contribution this event would not have been successful. Skill Development, Employment and Entrepreneurship Department, M3M Foundation, Better Place, SHRM India, DSV Global Interest Hauser, Forbes Marshall, Quest Corp, Saint Gobain, and Tata Chemicals. So we wrap up this session today. I would like to once again thank all the attendees, all the speakers for really taking out time to discuss such an opportune and timely discussion on building workforce for Industry 4.0. Thank you so much.